The Roman Empire taxed urine, not as a joke, not as a punishment, as a serious, profitable line item in the imperial budget. And when the emperor's own son told him it was disgusting, the emperor held up a coin and asked him to smell it. That moment gave us a phrase people still say today. But the strangest part isn't the tax. It's that the tax made perfect sense, because in Rome, urine was worth money. Let me explain. Walk down a street in ancient Rome, and you'd notice something. Large clay pots, just sitting there at the corners, open to the public. You used them. That was the point. And when they filled up, someone came and collected them. Not to throw the contents away, to sell it. Here's why. Urine is mostly water, but it contains urea. Leave it in a warm pot for a few days, and the urea breaks down. What it turns into is ammonia. Ammonia is alkaline. It cuts through grease and oil. Look under your sink right now. There's a decent chance you own a bottle of it. Rome didn't have soap the way we do. What they had was this, and an entire industry was built on top of it. They were called the fullers. Their job was cleaning and finishing wool. Fresh wool is greasy. It's full of lanolin. Before you can dye it, sell it, wear it, you have to strip that grease out. So the fullers filled shallow tubs with water and stale urine, threw the cloth in, and stood in the tubs. They stomped for hours, every day. It was called the fuller's dance, and it was one of the worst jobs in the empire. Their workshops smelled exactly the way you're imagining. Roman writers complained about it constantly, but that fabric had to come from somewhere. The whole textile trade ran on this, and it didn't stop at laundry. This is the part people don't believe. Some Romans used urine as mouthwash. The ammonia whitens teeth. It works. It genuinely works. The poet Catullus wrote a vicious little insult about a man who scrubbed his teeth with it every morning to make his smile brighter. The joke wasn't that he did it. The joke was that he was from a region famous for doing it. Everyone knew. So this was a real commodity with a real supply chain. Collectors, suppliers, buyers, prices. Now, if you're an emperor and something in your city is being bought and sold in bulk, what do? You tax it, which brings us to the year 69. Rome had just torn itself apart. 4 emperors in 12 months. Civil war. The treasury was empty, not low, empty. The man left standing was named Vespasian. He wasn't from a great family. He'd been a soldier, a tax collector's son. He was practical in a way Romans found slightly embarrassing, and he had to rebuild a broke empire from nothing. So he taxed everything he could find, including the urine trade. It was called the vectigal urinae. Buyers who collected from the public pots now paid the state for the privilege, and Rome's most disgusting industry became a revenue stream. His son Titus was horrified, not by the cruelty, there wasn't any, by the indignity of it, an emperor taking money from that. He complained to his father directly, and Vespasian did something I think about often. He reached into his purse, pulled out a coin from the first payment, and held it up to his son's face. He asked him whether it smelled. Titus said no, and Vespasian said, and yet it comes from urine. That's the whole exchange. No lecture, no defense, just a coin and a question. Out of that moment, Romans built a saying, pecunia non olet, money does not smell. It's still said in Italy today, and in Latin, in newspapers, in courtrooms, usually by someone defending a fortune with an ugly origin, which is worth pausing on, because Vespasian wasn't defending anything ugly. He was taxing laundry. The phrase outgrew the moment. Now people use it to excuse things Vespasian never would have. So what did he do with the money? He stabilized the currency. He rebuilt the city. And he started construction on something you've seen 1,000 times. The Colosseum. It was funded, in part, by taxes on things nobody wanted to talk about. A civilization's grandest building, paid for partly by its least dignified trade. Vespasian died in 79. 10 years on the throne. He found an empire bankrupt and left it solvent, which almost no Roman emperor managed. And centuries later, when Paris installed public urinals on its streets, the French named them after him, Vespasianus. He is remembered, more than for anything else, for the thing his son begged him not to do. Here's what I keep coming back to. We think of taxes as boring, administrative, grey. But a tax is a statement. It says, this thing has value, enough value that we want a piece. Rome taxed urine because Rome had noticed something that most of us walk past every day, that waste and wealth are separated by nothing more than a chemical reaction, and someone willing to do the work. Vespasian understood that. His son thought it was beneath him, and history remembers which one of them rebuilt an empire. If this one was worth your time, there's a whole channel of stories like it. I'll see you in the next one.